Good afternoon. Two hands. Hand number one is Queen ten of spades in the cutoff. So I get villain 10 from the hijack. Open raises 2.5 out of 43 hands. He's playing 7-7, so he is somewhat tight. Let's get this. So what do I have on him? I have a 3-bet range of ace jack off, a 4-bet range of kings. He raised first in. I probably don't have enough hands to judge adequately what he's playing. 2 out of 12. Raise first in is 13%, so I'm going to guess that he's probably playing a okay range. Nothing too crazy because he has been tight. That's 13.4%. That's probably a decent opening range. And what we have is Queen 10 of spades. So what do? Do we call? Do we raise? Versus this unknown, you can see that Queen 10 is going to be someplace right over here. So we're going to be behind his pocket pairs. We're going to be behind his overcards. We're ahead of his suited connectors. If we flop a queen, we're going to have to be worried that we may be outkicked. I think if we flop a 10, we're going to probably be okay. We only have to worry about overpairs at that point or a draw. Could we call this? Yeah, I think we could reasonably call. Nobody's really has a high 3-bet percentage. They're all about 2%, so they're probably all pretty truthful with their 3-bet stats. So I think if I just call and someone raises, I don't think they're going to be bluff raising as a bluff 3-betting as a squeeze. I think they have value here. Could I raise here? Yeah, I think we could raise possibly. If I raise, I think we're only going to get we're only going to have him call hands like, ace king, ace queen, the big pocket pairs. He could call all of the pocket pairs possibly, but I think if I raise, he's probably going to give up his suited connectors, probably a queen jack, king jack. And overall, I do think if I raise, he's probably folding at least 30 or 40% of the time. We can actually check that. So I hit that range, and I could say if I 3-bet, and with a 2.5 big blinds, it is somewhat small. I'd say 2.5 to 3 is standard. 3 is definitely standard. Maybe he's saying something with his bets. Maybe he isn't. So I would think that if I 3-bet, he's probably coming along with something like that. Maybe not. He might give up the king queens. So we're at 8.49%, and we're at 13.2%. So he's continuing 64%, which means he's folding 36%. If he gets rid of these smaller pocket pairs and decides he doesn't want to set mine, maybe 10s plus, now we're dealing with even higher percentage. So now it's 4.57 over 13.2. We're looking at he's only continuing 34, which means he's folding 66% of the time. So we could possibly raise and probably pick it up. I think raising might have been the better play here. I think we'd be fine just taking it down. Now, what if his bet actually means something? This 2.5 big blinds. What if his 2.5 big blinds means something more like that? Get rid of your premium hands, maybe even the ace queens, and say that he's something more like that. I think we have a little bit better reason to call, because he's going to call. If he calls a 3-bet, he's going to be calling with much weaker hands that might then allow me to pick up a pot with this continuation bet, or maybe even a double barrel. So if a king flops, queen flops, we may be able to take it down. Definitely with the queen we get pocket pairs, but if we had the queen, we may be able to get like a queen jack to fold. because he may give us credit for ace queen. So what did I do? I called, and again, I think calling can be okay. I think we can make an argument for raising too. Flop comes out, ace king jack rainbow. So just looking at, let's add these hands back in. Just looking at this, how this range interacts, I think it interacts very well with his range, and we obviously hit the straight. So now I'm thinking this is a great board to take someone's stack. The only hands, I'm really not concerned with it with any hands. I don't know what the turn's going to bring. The turn could bring a card that will entice even more calls. So I think ace queen's going to be calling. Of course, any two pair trips is going to call. I think king queen will call. Queen jack will call. I bet ace 10, king 10, and jack 10 will all call at least one bet if they don't see bet. So I think this is a really good board. Really good opportunity for us to win some money. So he bets 4.5. What is he going to see bet with? Well, we have him see betting 100%, but it's 1 out of 1. So 2 out of 2 times he see bet. I think with this board, I think it's going to interact with his hand so much that he's probably going to be betting with a lot of hands. So I think open-ended straight draw. This gut shot, one card gut shot, he's going to be calling. So he doesn't really have these open-enders in there. But I do think the gut shot, he's going to be betting. Gut shot plus pair, he's going to be betting. If we restrict the pair, so pocket pair below second pair, he's going to be betting that. But that's the queens. So what about a middle pair, king, queen? I mean, again, middle pair that he's got the gut shot. So I think he's justified in betting those. Queen jack, he's betting. He'll have jack 10, he's betting. It's these pocket pairs, these 10s to 2s. I don't think he's betting those. I think he's just going to check and probably fold to a bet. So, and I think most people would do that. Most, normal people, unknowns. Once we play them, then good chance that maybe we see that they'll call anything. So 50% chance that he bets. Now the question is, if I raise, what hands are going to call? So I think once I raise, I think our top pair is going to call at least once. This ace queen, ace 10. Two pairs definitely going to call. Set's going to call. I wouldn't be surprised if set raises here. So and that's a good thing. So instead of like setting up, moving the sets out, we're going to leave them in because I want to see what the continuance range is. Gut shots will probably call again. Gut shot plus pairs. Will all gut shots call? I think they will. I think he already put in 4.5 big blinds. I think if I raise, he's probably going to put him in and hope that he spikes a queen or a 10. So I think here we should be raising. How much should we raise? Well, he bet 4.5. So 4.5 was his bet times 3 plus 6.5. So 20 is a pot size bet. I think we could probably raise to about 12 to 13. A little more than half probably. I think 16 is going to be a little bit too strong. Although, I mean, if we bet big, it's, it kind of represents that we have like two pair or better. Maybe even a solid draw, maybe ace queen, but I think 12, 13 is going to get the job done. I raised to 16, which, as I said, I kind of think it might be a little bit too big. And he just calls. So I think when he just calls, I think I'm going to eliminate the set. I'm going to leave the two pair, I'm going to leave the top pair, and I'm going to leave all of these draws in there. So he then called, he's 43%, and we're sitting at 83% to win. Turn was the 4 of clubs, and I think that's actually pretty good because now it opens up a possibility of a flush draw. So what does he do? He checks, and now it's a question of what do we do? I think if we check, that may induce a bet on the river. That play is going to be player specific. So I would have to look at the player, check the river, and see what his river probe bet is. And you can see that we haven't had an opportunity. So I'd look at that river probe bet, and if it looks like he's doing it like 50% of the time or more, then I think this is a great opportunity to check, give that free card with the expectation that he's going to probe, and he may actually probe pretty big. I mean, the pot's 38.5. He may go ahead and bet pot, or he could bet even just shove all in to get me off the hand. So he already checked. Against a default player, I don't think most default players probe enough, so I think we're going to have to bet, and the question is, how much should we bet? So we raised it to 16 on the flop. I think here we should probably bet about 25 or so. 20, I think 20 is, it's about half pot. That's going to encourage calls, and I think if I encourage calls, we're going to get the flush draws. I don't know if all of the gut shots are going to call right now. I do think the flush draws are going to call because they're part of a combo, but I'll bet the gut shots fold. Top pair probably still calls, two pair calls, and something like this. So if I bet half pot, he calls with that. If I bet 2/3, so if I bet 25 or 30, 30 might be pushing it. I may get flush draws to fold, probably get top pairs to fold, but 25 he might call. So let's see what I do here. I bet 27.5, so kind of split between 25 and 30, and now he check raises me. Which is interesting. He min check raises me. So at this point, I think this is a flush draw, and we can probably narrow it down even more. So I think with the flush draw, what would he do? King, queen, king, jack, queen, jack. Probably not those. Maybe just that. Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to leave that there. So I think when he raised, I think it's two pair. Probably not even top pair now. He's raising that flush draw, which includes some of the two pair hands. I think he's trying to figure out, do I have the queen or not? I think at this point I should just kind of come over the top and hope he's going to call, because I don't want to check, have the club miss, and then he can fold. So I think what we're targeting with the raise are these flush draws to get them to call. So I raised, and then he went over the top, and I made the mistake. I should have just raised him all in to begin with, or raised myself all in to begin with. And I do think he would have called two pair and flush. So 10 comes out, and I'm thinking, oh crap, that is awful, because he could have easily had king queen, king queen, or queen jack of clubs, and he shows king jack. He shows the two pair. So I didn't have the king jack here, but I do think the two pair was part of the play. So if he's open raising with king jack off, he's probably also open raising with king 10 off, and then probably those as well. So when we look at it, definitely, I think at this point there were a lot more hands that are going to continue, and I think that justifies a raise on the turn. All right, so we didn't quite get the same because I didn't have the king jack in his opening range, but I think we had king. I think we had it as two pair, or that combo, that flush draw, with like king queen or queen jack. I think those were going to be the only hands that we're looking at. All right, so this is hand number one. Let me close things out, clear things out, and get hand number two. All right, hand number two is pocket fives. We have an the first middle position player open raises to two big blinds. That is a very small bet, and I think while we might want to set mine, that bet in and of itself suggests that he is pretty weak. He has a hand that he wants to play. He knows he should raise it, but he doesn't know how much because he's afraid. So I think what we're looking at is something maybe like he's playing 44% too. So probably accounting for that 44%, he could easily be doing something like this. Only 16 hands, so we don't quite know what he's capable of, but easily something like that. And I think if I raise him to like 9 or 10, make something bigger, I'm going to probably get him to fold nearly his entire range. That bet's just so small that I can't imagine that he has any of these big Broadway hands. With the raise also, I do think I'm going to be forcing these players out. It's an aggressive play. I don't normally make it, but with this loose player, I think we could be justified in raising. Now, the one thing that does catch my eye is this. His call pre-flop 2-bet is 83%. That could be he likes calling 2, 3, or 4 big blind bets pre-flop just so he can see a flop. But if I make it larger on the 3-bet, then maybe he just folds and is done with that. Really only one good way to know. Now, calling is fine, but if I call, we have to expect either this player or this player to call. And if anyone, I would lean towards this player because he's called 33%. It's only 3 out of 9. This guy is going to be playing pretty tight. If he comes along, he's got a pocket pair or he has some good Broadway cards. He's not going to come along with a very wide range at all. Just on his pre-flop from the big blind, you can see VPIP is 11%, or calls 2-bets 11%. It's 18% VPIP, so that guy's tight. So what do? I actually just call, which, as I said, I don't really like. I think I could do better by raising here. It should buy me position. If it doesn't, if he calls, then we're basically, if we don't hit the set, we're gonna have to be done because I bet he's got a good solid hand. So folds around to the big blind, who actually just calls. So at this point, one big blind, he may be playing with a wider range here. So let's see what happens here. Queen, 9 of diamonds, 5 of hearts. That is great for us. Villain 3 checks. Early position player bets. He bets half pot, basically. He has 16.3 left. So our question is, what do we do? Do we raise? Do we just call? This board is somewhat connected. Obviously, I think it would be better if we had potential flush draws out there. I think his range is going to be sufficiently wide where he could have connected at a little bit. Could have hit a queen, could have hit a 9, could be on a draw. 9, 10, 10, jack, queen, 10, maybe 7, 8, 6, 7 type hands. I think they would call at least once. I think if I raise, though, he's going to fold some of those draws, some of those weaker draws, and maybe even the middle pair, those combo draws too. He's just too tight. So if I'm looking to win money, then I think our play is to just call and hope that villain 3 comes along. He doesn't, so he missed completely. So it's heads up. So what is he going to c-bet with? I have to imagine that he's c-betting with most everything. So with all pocket pairs, with all your combo draws, I've got 64.1%. I mean, that's including 2s, 3s, and 4s. Would he really c-bet with those? I'm going to say no. Let's say pocket pair below top card, 6, 7, 8. He'll bet those, but and he'll probably bet those and above. So 55.9%, that's a c-bet. We're 86. We are solidly ahead. 4 diamonds comes out. I think that only helps us because it increases the number of hands that he might call a raise with. So on that card, we are still at 91%. And now he just open shoves. So the question is, what is he open shoving with? Does it even matter? Really, it doesn't matter. We're going to call this, but for the purposes of trying to figure out, hand reading, let's say this was his bet. He overbet the pot at 16.3. What are we going to put him on? Definitely flush draw, I think. 2 card, open and straight draw. I don't know if he had Jack 10, why wouldn't he have bet larger? So I don't think that's going to be that hand. I think overpair set. I think top pair is probably solid. You know, diamond comes out. He's got queen, maybe yeah, king queen. He doesn't want you to call, so he overbets the pot and tries to gets you to fold. So 28.7%. We're definitely ahead. We're gonna call this all the way, no matter what. 8 comes out, and he shows aces. So here's a situation where I didn't have it in his range, and that's kind of why the overpairs weren't there. But I think he'll make the same play with this king queen. I think he's going to do that with queen jack. He'll probably do that with, and then kings and aces. So again, we didn't have aces in his range, so I can go ahead and add just a note here. Min raised. Hold on, not min raised. Min open from MP1 with aces. So that way we know if he min opens, he could have a good hand. And we'll pay attention to all the other times that he min opens or he varies his opening size. Alright, so hopefully you enjoyed this 2 hands. Look tomorrow for a couple more hands.